Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. On Spectrum tonight, the quest for a better education in this country. Civil society organizations launched a campaign. How will it help in transforming the education sector? Civil society organizations have today launched a campaign dubbed Citizens Action for Quality Public Education to try and address what they call a national crisis that is likely to destroy the future of millions of children. The campaign centers on the major challenges Uganda's education faces today and the urgent need to address them as national problems. In a statement issued at the launch, the campaigners blame government for turning the education sector management into a mere experiment, leading to great loss of public funds and resulting in a poor education system. They also highlight a number of other management-based weaknesses that must be addressed urgently. This campaign comes at a time when some people are suggesting that the education sector in Uganda should be overhauled after the rushed universal education system that some say was really botched. Uganda's education has not been spared the rampant corruption which is common elsewhere. At the height of this corruption, President Museveni ordered a judicial commission of inquiry into the education sector, but he was subsequently angered by its failure to deliver. Parliament recently ordered the government to wind up this education commission. As we push forward with a quest for a better education in Uganda, we look tonight at the newly launched campaign by civil society organizations to try and understand how it could help improve the sector. Our guests tonight, Bishop Zac Niringiye, Assistant Bishop of Kampala, also Chairman of the Africa Peer Review Governing Council. You're most welcome, Bishop Zac.
Thank you very much.
We're also joined by Mrs. Teopista Birungi, General Secretary of the Uganda National Teachers Union, or UNATU. You're most welcome, Mrs. Birungi.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about this campaign that you launched today. Bishop Zac, can you give us a background to it?
The background is, to begin with, is really the teachers. What the teachers' action last year and previous years is simply a cry that focused in one place: the levels of remuneration of teachers in the school system that were simply unacceptable. And when the teachers raised the alarm, the way in which that campaign was treated, the way in which that industrial action was treated, it woke many of us to actually recognizing deeper questions. Now, for me, as chairman of the Africa Peer Review Governing Council, the National Governing Council, we were aware of these deep contradictions. On the one hand, a great policy, for example, universal primary education, a great policy, excellent in its intentions, but dismal in its delivery, frustrating, disappointing. I mean, if you have a system in which the dropout rates, the completion rates for primary section is a dismal 20%. I mean, imagine this: 100 kids begin at primary level 1. Only 20 are able to do PRE. That's what that statistic means, 20%. Compare with the national, with the East African regional average. Within East Africa, countries like Kenya, completion rates 80%. Countries like Burundi, Rwanda, 75 plus. In fact, Rwanda, I think it's 80%. The regional average for Eastern Africa is between 75 and 85%. What is Uganda's? 20, 25%, 30%. These are figures we have known when we did the country self-assessment report. We've been with these figures for a while, and we've actually been making the alarm that something must be done vis-a-vis the quality of education in this country. So I think it's just a convergence of concern, interests, and realizing that something must be done. The voices have come. Uwezo, that was spearheaded by the national governing, the NGO Forum, did a study, startling results, that in the primary school system, in primary 3, they did a study to check literacy, level of numeracy at primary 3 level. Can you believe
numeracy, the ability to recognize numbers and work with them.
Yeah, and work with them. So what happens? The statistic, the research found out that 93% of the children in primary 3 cannot read or write, cannot understand numbers of a primary 2 level. That is said to you that all the 93% in primary 3 should be in primary 1. We also did that study, and lots of others, and appeals were made. Part of the challenge, and the government has known this, part of the challenge is feeding. Our kids are hungry. Our kids can't study on an empty stomach. Government has known part of the challenge is we do not have water and sanitation facilities in our schools. Girls' dropout rate is higher than boys. Why? The girls, when they get into puberty, I mean, you know what happens? We don't have facilities. All this has been known. What's the impact of this? Dismal performances. I mean, we have dropout rates, but also we have now, it's beginning to show the poor quality at primary level, secondary level is now beginning to show even at university level. University professors will tell you the quality of the students you have at university is not what it used to be. And worse still, not only do we have high levels of unemployment of the youth, currently running at 83%.
Yes.
Unemployment rate among the youth.
Yes.
83%.
Yes.
Right. But you see what employers also say to us, that what we are producing out of our university are not simply unemployed, but they are also unemployable.
All right.
So we have a challenge. So all of this says to you, we have an educational system in crisis, dire crisis.
Madam Birungi, what is the root of this?
Yeah, well, I may not be able to tell the root, but I think what is most important to note is that for quite too long we have sat back. And I'm glad to learn that what is going to happen now, what is happening now, is we are waking up everyone. Because all along, when the teachers spoke, many of you kept on saying it is all about the teachers. And the teachers kept on raising their voice. It's not about the teachers. It is about the children's future, the future of our children, the future of this country. Because what is about teachers is about our children. If the teachers are not working in the right conditions, then children are also not going to learn in the right conditions. So we made an appeal. We called on. For quite some time we have called, and we are glad we have mobilized everyone. Because there are many other stakeholders in education, not only the teachers. What about the parents? We discovered many parents also don't know these issues. They don't know that they are sending their children to death traps. Even the owners of the schools also didn't know.
The schools have become death traps.
They are. They are. If you are sending your child to school and the child is going to stay there for 9 hours without a meal, is that child learning? And when the teachers are tempted through a formal by-law process where we have got to sit down and negotiate with the government, between the teachers as workers and as professionals and the government, to talk about all the learning and the teaching issues within the school, within the workplace, it was not managed. I can say it was mismanaged. So we appealed. We called on all other stakeholders. So I'm glad the civil society have come up. Together we must move together as a group, and we transform and make sure we address the crisis which otherwise many are not conscious that they are living with. And so the effort, the purpose is really to make everyone, every education stakeholder, every Ugandan understand that this crisis is real, and then together, because it is doable. We are able to change whatever is happening if we are all together, talk about it, and we demand changes to the rightful direction.
Let's look at the figures, specifically from the region. 80% versus 20% completion rates. in East Africa. How would you explain a variance that looks like, glaring? It actually is glaring. Is it because of more pupils going to school because of UPE?
The question is all about we have not had rightful governance decisions.
Our government doesn't spend.
Let me give you an illustration. The capitation grant, we talked about it. At the beginning
the amount paid by government support each pupil.
The amount paid by government support each pupil at school for administrative, for what's the other costs that relate to basic instructional materials.
Yes.
Scholastic materials. Right. That's what it's supposed to do. How much does the government spend?
5,000 per pupil.
5,000 per pupil. And you know
every term.
Per year.
Oh, really?
5,000 per child per year. The average sent to a school per child per term is 1,800.
Is this real or are you?
No, go and check it.
These are 5,000 shillings per year for every child.
Yes. And what is even frightening is that is not received by schools.
Where does it go?
Precisely. Precisely.
No. The government gives and doesn't give. It evaporates in mid.
Excuse me. That is the irony of our system. We've done these studies. We've checked schools across the country. The reason we're talking about an average is actually there is a stated figure by the Ministry of Education. Surprise, surprise, it all doesn't get to the school. It's those kinds of issues. Now, excuse me, not only doesn't it all get to school, I think the more recent figure now, published figure by government, is 7,200.
They've raised it a little bit.
Yeah, but actually, that is on paper. We have not seen any school that has said we have actually received 7,200. Now, but imagine that is per child per year. So you ask, why is the average for Uganda so low in terms of completion rates? It's very obvious. We are not spending. We're not. It's very, very grossly poorly funded.
So the government gives 200 shillings per week for every child.
So now,
and you say some of it doesn't get
it's
there.
not even 200 things per week.
Look, that's my question. At 7,200 per annum, 2,400 per term, that's 3 terms, 800 per month, comes to 200 per week on average. That's what they send, 200 shillings for every child, for a week.
Actually, I would want us to work the numbers again. I haven't thought through it. And that's it. It's only to say to you, it's dismal. Compare with what the other countries do. But secondly, we can't really undermine this whole question of the motivation of teachers. My sister, her name is Phoebe. She's taught primary school for 37 years. She's a grade 3 teacher. My sister today earns 280,000. I mean,
every month.
Every month.
So, and she's supposed to send
this is 37 years. I'm not even discussing. We're not even, and she is earning about the same amount, by the way, with somebody who started teaching 2-3 years ago.
Maybe she should become a driver in a certain authority.
No. Well, she can't learn driving now at close to 60 years. Excuse me. No, that's the point. That's the point. Now, have you noticed? What do RDCs get? What kinds of facilities? All right, check. And let me tell you, some of those RDCs have just recently been primary school teachers.
Yes.
Notice some of these MPs who have just been teachers. So it's to simply say, first of all, the funding of education is something that must be addressed. Now, yes.
Go on.
Now, there are other factors.
Yes.
We have checked. The hemorrhage within the system is frightening. We have ghost teachers, ghost schools, ghost pupils. And these are facts known by the Ministry of Education.
Explain this phenomenon very clearly.
All right.
Ghost teachers, what do you mean? Ghost schools and ghost... How does it happen?
Teopista.
Madam Birungi. These ghosts, how do they happen?
I can't tell how ghosts happen, because the mere statement that they are ghosts.
Explain the phenomenon to us.
What I'm going through as an organizer of teachers, a general secretary of a teachers union, practically every month Uganda National Teachers Union has an average of 80,000 registered teachers.
80,000?
Yes.
Yes.
And they are on government payroll.
Yes.
Every month I receive an average of 300 teachers deleted off the payroll.
What do you mean?
They have been deleted off the payroll, and in the process of checking with the public service to establish why these teachers are deleted from the payroll, I'm told it is because they are cleaning the payroll of the ghosts.
Let's get the phenomenon clear for someone who might not know about
ghosts are
some
teachers on record,
yes,
that they are teaching, but they don't exist.
So someone who wants to benefit from this, a government official, creates a ghost school. You see, he claims there's a school in a swamp.
No, there's a school in a district. By the way, it's not claimed
that doesn't exist.
It's not even claimed at the central level. The district administration, they know it. They begin right from the district.
So the district officials create schools that don't exist.
Well, somebody creates them. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Is that a syndicate between the education office with the administration, local administration, with the really, it's a syndicate, and that's why they are called ghosts. Yes, schools, pupils,
they don't exist.
Yeah, schools, pupils, and teachers. And let me tell you before we finish, this country loses at least 26 billion Uganda shillings every year on ghost teachers, ghost pupils, ghost schools.
So somebody benefits from this.
Yes.
Madam Birungi, okay, well, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, the quest for better education in Uganda. Civil society organizations launch a campaign. How will this campaign help in transforming the education sector? Our guest, Bishop Zac Niringiye, Assistant Bishop of Kampala, Church of Uganda, also Chairman of the Africa Peer Review Governing Council, and Mrs. Teopista Birungi, General Secretary of UNATU, that's the Uganda National Teachers Union. Madam Birungi, the figures look dismal now. When was it good? And so we can try to draw a curve. When was the last time we had a good education system? Before it came to this?
I don't know when we have had a good system, because when you talk about a system, it is something that goes...
Well, there's a time we used to be people used to come to Makerere.
At the time when I was a student and when I became a teacher. But a bigger part of what I have been a teacher, that is an average of, I'm coming to 3 decades teaching.
30 years teaching.
Things have been difficult, especially when we introduced the universal primary education.
UP spoiled things.
I don't know whether it spoiled, but to a big extent we mismanaged.
That's 1996.
1996, 97.
97 actually.
97. And since that time, a lot of bad things have happened. In order to manage a big bang which we entered into,
the UPE,
it is our system which has teachers who are paid in non-commensurate salaries.
So UPE spoiled things. The children should have been left to fetch water at home.
Not really. The children are supposed to come to school.
Well, half is better than no bread at all.
Yes. But what we are supposed to do, government has got to work with the major actors into what we call dialogue. Have you heard us as civil society demanding that the government must sit down in constructive dialogue through a collective bargaining process provided by law to negotiate with the teachers from time to time to keep showing them what is happening. This is not happening, and consequently that's why a lot of such things are happening. You cannot remunerate a group of people who are supposed to transform the changes for which you are putting resources. In fact, teachers are like the cement. If you are building
the foundation,
however much you have good stones, aggregate, whatever type of sand you may put
without
there,
cement,
bring over water unless you have cement. And here, these are the teachers who are undermined, paid in non-commensurate salaries, and consequently, the attrition rate of teachers getting out of the system is equivalent to those who are coming in. And so we have persistently had a teacher-pupil ratio which is not manageable. And so the results can be there.
Without paying teachers, we were trying to build without cement.
Yes, not only paying, attending to them, because it's not all about paying them, even supervising them. The supervisor, the support is not there.
Where does it go off the board? The supervising element.
These teachers are not supervised, and very quickly, if I can give you a very immediate example, because what we are trying to show that the public has not been following. You overheard recently when the office of the Prime Minister sent every security officials to go and make sure that the teachers go and teach. Yes.
The same soldiers.
What does it mean? It means the government does not have a system that supervises.
They have a system. They send some supervisors with guns.
No, I
just
think,
over their shoulders.
No, I think, you see, the other thing, going back to teachers, for me, it's even more distressful. Let me tell you, and I don't know whether Teopista would say this, it's that right now, today, the people who offer for the teaching profession are those who have failed. I have done surveys across the country, and I ask students, those of you who are going to apply for teaching as your first choice,
they don't raise their hand.
No, they don't. All of them will say, 95% will say, it's only if I can't do anything else.
Right.
So you see what is happening, because we are not, the teaching profession is not something that people look forward to.
Because it's not
consequently, we are not getting people who are motivated, so teachers are constantly desiring to leave. We have a crisis in the teaching profession. That's what else the teachers are saying to us.
All right, we're going for a break. We'll be back. Just stay tuned.
Special fares to the US, London, China, and India, with extra baggage allowance on selected flights. To book your flight, contact your local travel agent or call us on 041-7800-900 or book online at qatarairways.com/UG. Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline. Terms and conditions apply.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He is just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special.
You've earned it. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on the Spectrum. Tonight, the quest for a better education in Uganda. Civil society organizations launched a campaign. How will it help in transforming the education sector? Our guests tonight, Bishop Zac Niringiye, Assistant Bishop of Kampala, also Chairman of the Africa Peer Review Governing Council, and Mrs. Teopista Birungi, General Secretary of the Uganda National Teachers Union. You'll be able to call in and contribute to this discussion at some stage. Bishop Zac, today's news says Kenya thinks our education system is one of the best. You are blowing things out of proportion.
No, first of all, actually, I'm very curious. When I looked at the headline, I wanted to see something about Uganda's education. What did I read? Makerere University, higher education. So first of all, I think New Vision needs to apologize to us, to this country. New Vision needs to apologize to Uganda to be able to say this. It misrepresents the story. The story is not discussing Uganda's education. Uganda, it is simply discussing tertiary level and Makerere University. So let's bring the record. But secondly, of course, the praise was made at...
That was a political rally at the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Two men wearing hats.
No. So let's understand the context. So apparently this story is the words, the praise.
I don't think the context is right.
No, it's not about the context. It's to say, Professor George Saitoti, what are his sources? What is he quoting? Is he quoting the Ministry of Education? The Ministry of Education itself admits that the completion rates in our primary school system, let me tell you, the statistics in our country is 1.5 to 2.5 million kids starting primary.
Yeah.
Only about 550,000 do PRE.
Right.
So I don't know where he's exactly. So where is he getting his?
He's a former university lecturer, professor of mathematics, former education minister, and so on.
First of all, as I said, New Vision owes an apology to the country because it actually misrepresents the story. But secondly, it's where are the facts? Let's get the facts. And frankly, let's not politicize this issue. Let's not do this. It's painful to be able to politicize this. Let's all admit action must be taken. For if action is not taken, we are in trouble as a country. And this is not about our president, this is not about the government, this is about our country. Our country does not have a future if the education is not producing the human resource that is required.
Madam Birungi, if the government is listening, what would you want them to do to change all this?
They have got to do a lot of things, but when it comes to education, I would like them to pay attention to the areas that are causing the crisis in education. Such areas that are related to the children's learning, that are related to the teachers themselves, that are related to the community, because the community moves according to how politically they are mobilized, and according to the management of education. But specifically to talk about teachers.
What do you mean the community? How does the community come in?
The community and the parents. These are the ones who have the children,
They mentor the
ones who
children.
take the children to school. And if you don't mobilize them properly, currently, are you able to give an explanation why parents don't provide their children with meals? Are you able? This is the community I'm talking about. I don't think we have ever gone mad, but I want to tell you that less than 20% of our children go without a midday meal at school. And they have got homes where they are coming from.
They don't have anything to eat.
Yes, yes.
And that impacts on their
So it is a very big aspect of managing education, and it is a very big aspect of this crisis. So what we want government to do, it will come one by one, but particularly now what I want to say about the teachers, because they form a very big aspect of this crisis. We have got, when we talk about teacher quality, I want us to consider two arms.
Yes.
Left and right. The quality of the teacher depends on their professional status and their working conditions. Once you attend to one of them, then it can never be natural. It is like walking, left leg, left leg.
Let's talk about the professionals.
Yes.
What do you mean?
The profession, they have got to, we need to attract teachers of high quality.
So you should pay them well.
So that you can even pay them well. What is happening now, government has not paid attention to this. In the last 2 decades, we are recruiting students in the teaching profession who have nowhere to go, whose last resort is to, what can I do?
They can't even speak English, man.
And those who are able, we have not managed them according to their working and teaching conditions, so they have moved out.
So you attract poor quality personnel,
yes.
and then you don't pay them well.
And then when you attract them, you should be able to give them what we call the continuous professional support.
Let's look at the picture right now.
Actually, what else you need to speak
you get
about?
people who can't do, who think they failed elsewhere. This is the best they can do, and you get poor quality people, and then you don't pay them well. And that's
before you pay them well, the teacher education centers where they are actually trained
yes.
is itself very dismal. We had a meeting this morning, and one of the teacher trainers told us the condition in the teacher training centers is just like what's happening in UPE, USE.
Some of them were supposed to be closed. They didn't have money.
Precisely. Yes. Precisely. Every student teacher is allocated an average of 1,600 shillings.
Every hour.
Every day to be trained.
1,600 shillings.
So what kind of products? But to continue what I was trying to show you about the teachers, even the good ones you have in the system, how do you remunerate them? How do you manage them?
Retention.
260,000
in order to retain them.
260,000 every month.
Our system, we have got teachers who have got grade 3 certificates, who have got grade 5 certificates, who are graduate teachers. This is at the primary subsector, trained in the government institutions. But because government does not have a particular attention to ensuring that we have got education of quality with quality teachers, all these teachers are paid the same scale. We call it a scale of U7 for grade 3.
Let's talk about the pay of teachers. On average, looking at average salary is 260,000. That's about 3,000 shillings every day, on average, for a term. So they might as well go and ride a border. By 10 o'clock, you have 3,000.
No, actually, studies have been done that a very significant number of the border riders are actually people who are, graduates of the teacher training centers. Of course, we also know that there are several who come from different other colleges. Absolutely.
It makes more
let me tell you, not just border riding. In the villages, think about my sister who is deep in the village. The choice to be made between spending the day at school and spending the day in the garden, which is more productive, which one gives you more, especially in this day and age where you have food, food challenges, even feeding the family. There is definitely no way in which a parent will feed his family, be able to house the family, be able to do all this at that salary. That is why we have high levels as well of absenteeism in class. Studies have been shown on market days in our school system.
They go sell oranges.
Excuse me. Not only you don't have the pupils, you don't have the teachers. I went to a school in central Uganda on a market day, and the head teacher told me that enrolled in that school is 1,200. Let me tell you, there are not 200 kids.
They are busy with other things.
And I said, so where are the teachers?
Matters.
And I said, even if the kids were here, there would be no teachers. Why? Because they are trying to fend for themselves on market day. Is the day where they are selling the little that they have made. This is the impact that it has.
So it's kind of condemning the poor to further poverty, getting them into a cycle. Only the rich will get a good education.
Let me say this to you. Check the performance tables, even of the last PRE results.
Yes.
When Teopista and I and yourself was going to school in this city, Kampala, you had Nakasero Primary, Buganda Road, Chitante. These were always the top.
Yes.
These are now UPE schools.
Yes.
Let me tell you, you can look very hard. You will not see them among the first 10. To get them among the first 20, you've done very well.
Lucky.
All these schools, so they have been replaced by Kampala Parents, Green Hill, Rohana. Now, whose children go to these schools? I serve in this city. About 60% of the population of this city, they live in the slums. What schools do they go to? Where are they condemned to? Go to the better schools, all right? Gayaza and so on and so forth. So it's real, it is massive. When I was in school primary, I came from a rural school which you do not even know about. It's called Kabindi Primary School. I was the best in the district from a rural school.
Yes, you had a chance even at that time.
Absolutely.
Today it's going to be difficult.
Absolutely, I had a chance. I started. That is true then.
Today the child in your shoes will be at the market.
Today, my sister's child in Kavami Primary, how hard it is for her to get anywhere.
I was continuing to show you one of the difficulties the teachers in this country are going through. Besides that low pay, they do not have any other benefit. That low pay is called consolidated salary. They do not have housing benefits. They do not even have a meal, because other workers do get a meal.
Or they don't even go to the staff room and eat food.
But where do they have it if the whole school does not? There is no
the other capitation grant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even the porridge.
Part of it is the management of the school. Yes. How can they get it from that?
The children are yawning
200 every week. But above that, even that is mismanaged. When I talk about teacher development, management and support, I'm telling you, teachers, 300 of them are deleted off the payroll, and there is nobody who takes care. Why are they all deleted from the payroll?
Because they are ghosts and
then when they are deleted from the payroll, those who are members of the union, when you try to take them back on the payroll after 3 months to get what they call areas, claiming the areas of the payroll.
Or some people are taken off the payroll so somebody can eat their money. Is that what you're saying?
I can't tell. I can't tell what happens, but usually you are told,
you must know.
We are managing, because I don't manage a payroll, so I can't tell.
Well, but you are a teacher leader, general secretary of the training.
Yes, and that's what I'm telling you. When I struggle to ensure that whom you have deleted off the payroll,
Why do they
teachers,
delete them?
they claim.
So they can take their money.
No, I can't tell why they delete them, but it is a process of managing.
Well, let's get that. They remove those teachers the 300 so they can draw their salaries and build a fat base.
I don't know whether they are drawing their salaries, but they are claiming they are cleaning a payroll. But cleaning a payroll, the teachers who are there.
So using that euphemism, let's get it clear. They remove people who are working in the classroom, not getting enough. They remove their names, so they won't get their salary, and this salary will be drawn by some of those men, maybe.
But eventually they get back on the payroll, and they cannot access
because
their
someone has
areas.
eaten it.
They cannot access their areas, and the cycle goes on of mismanaging.
How much
the teacher?
We'd like to hear from the listeners. How much do you think teachers should be paid for them to be happy?
You can't pay them to smile.
Well,
but we are saying 100% increment for the lowest paid teacher. Yes.
$500,000.
Yes.
South Africa give them 2.5 million shillings. Of course, South Africa's economy is much bigger.
For us, that's what we want to begin with, and we want to do it through a collective bargaining agreement.
I think it has to be appreciated only as a starting point.
Yeah.
I think that has to be appreciated. I
want it higher.
No. You see, government has been talking about, he has promised an increment of 15%.
Yes.
And I said please, let's honestly get serious. Our inflation levels have been at what percentage?
30%.
Right. So imagine 12 months ago, a teacher was receiving 100 shillings, just as an example. At the end of the year, what is their worth of the 100? It's 70. Okay? So at the end of that year, government increases by 15. So it's now 85. So this 15% increment does not actually make it better for the teacher. The capacity, the pay power has not been increased. In fact, it's less. So what the teachers are asking for, 100% as a minimum, is really, really ought to be seen simply as a minimum.
Let's hear from the listeners. Spectrum on Radio 1. Thank you for tuning in. You can call in now on number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. When you call in, please tell us your name and your address, where you're calling from. All right. Dr. Zac Niringiye, you say 500,000 shillings. Madam Birungi, you said 500,000 shillings and teachers would be happy. What else?
I said you cannot pay teachers to smile.
Okay, let's
at least that is the beginning point.
Let's hear from the listeners. Maybe some of them are teachers. Spectrum, hello.
Is this Spectrum?
Yes, sir, your name?
Well, me, I think lowest paid teachers should at least get 600,000, at least 600,000. Or alternatively, those ones in town, let them at least get 600,000, and then those ones in the village, at least they get something like 400. Because really they struggle a lot into getting all the kids to study, and then at the end of it all, they become big people. Yet really, they are not appreciated. The government is really not doing so well for them. At least let them really struggle and say they acquire everything they want.
All right, my friend. Spectrum, hello. Hello, when you call in, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Now, numbers on Spectrum tonight, 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390. Spectrum, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Your name, sir?
Is this Radio 1?
Yes, sir, this is Radio 1. Your name?
Okay, please. This is Joseph calling from Kololo.
Yes, Joseph.
In fact, I want to appreciate the lady and the gentleman in the studio there. I don't know really if a government of Uganda or any other government in the world, if it could think, because see from the top, it's all through the teacher. But I don't think when someone really ought to forget about the teacher and remember a minister, a person who's sleeping with him, or a person who's holding a gun to keep him in power, than a person who's promoting his government by giving a knowledge to people who will ever tomorrow also take over the country. And you limit it, like, I think without us here, that's the end of the country. I think Uganda needs many, many prayers. Otherwise,
we need a fundamental change in the education sector.
my name is Joseph.
Yes, Josephine Kolova. Thank you. All right. Spectrum, hello. Okay. Your name, my friend?
Hello.
Hello. Can you switch off your radio?
Yes, I have.
Your name?
My name is Hassan and I'm calling from Kampala.
Yes, Hassan.
The debate today is quite interesting, but I would like to say that the wages or the pay currently for the teachers is very meager, and actually what they are proposing too cannot make a meaningful development for a mere teacher. Save for living, buying, maybe going to class, to school and coming back. I would propose that government, at least the minimum payment for a primary teacher would be $1 million, in addition to other fringe benefits like housing, medication, and food. Because really, as you know, today's Uganda, that money is very, very little. If I compare it to how much I use in a day, to go through a day, you require something like 80,000. So what about a teacher who earns less than that? 260,000 is really peanuts, and it can't do anything. Finally, I would appeal to the government, to the president, to members of parliament, to the civil society organizations to really do something, to press and do something for the teacher. Thank you very much.
Spectrum, hello.
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 Yes, madam, your name?
My name is Alice River.
Yes, Alice.
My contribution is that we need to look at this thing from all angles. I've heard my Bishop Zac Niringiye talk about the teachers, and I was happy. I think this should go to the army, it should go to the ministry, to the health workers, it should go to the catechists. In fact, I expected him also to comment about the catechists in the village. They earn so little that they hardly pay school fees for their children. So I think we need to give it a wider perspective, not just limit it to the Ministry of Education. Thank you.
All right, Spectrum, our final caller.
Edmond, good evening.
Good evening, your name?
I'm AM as usual. Thank you for hosting the guest. I want to appreciate their situation, but I also want to tell them that at least they should appreciate what the government did by bringing the USE and UPE, because many youngsters were not going to school, and we should respect that, because they talk about their salary as if they don't know what's happening in the community. People cannot rise even $1 per day. So to me, as a parent, we should encourage it. They should bargain with the government as well as they teach our children. But if they say they want 100%, where will the government get the money? Thank you.
All right, let's get back to the studio. Incidentally, my calculation shows that on average a teacher would get at 260,000. That's about 10,000 shillings per day. If that's what they get on a monthly basis, that's about 10,000 a day. Yes, Dr. Zac.
First of all, I think we need to clarify that the remuneration for teachers is only one aspect of this. I think we miss the point if we simply make this an issue of teachers. This is an issue about the education of our children, and that needs to really sink. Otherwise, if we simply make it an issue for teachers, rightly indeed, as one of the callers said, you're going to need to talk about, soldiers, catechists, and so on. So let it be very clear. We are focusing on the education of our children. We are focusing on the future of this country. And the point is this: if we are not building human resource, which is what education does, the country does not have a future. So that's the focus. There will be time to talk about other. There will be time to talk about doctors. There will be time to talk about, but you see, doctors come from the system.
Or even MPs.
Catechists come from this system. Pastors come from, MPs come from this system. The priority of education cannot be overemphasized. So let's keep the focus of the discussion, the education of our children. That's the debate. That's the question. And we are saying we have a crisis. If we do not address the crisis, not only don't our children have a future, and I can show you, it's not about tomorrow, it's now. we have dropout rates from our educational system, primary school. You ask me where those children are. They are just eating mangoes. They are actually killing birds with catapults. We've seen this, right? So it is the future of our children that is at stake.
So we're not building a knowledge-based economy.
It is the future of this
country-based economy that we're going to have.
It is the future of this country that is at stake, and that I think needs to be understood. Secondly, will the government be able to find the money to increase? And absolutely, it's very easy. I mean, look at the way the architecture of our budget system here. Right. The other day, 1.7 trillion shillings were found to buy jets. Am I saying that's bad? No. I'm simply saying if government could find immediately, because it was a priority, to purchase jets. 1.7 trillion. Yes. If government could find money to compensate a businessman, all right,
$70 million.
Yeah, absolutely. If government could find money
to buy,
and I'm not saying these are bad. And government has now found money to give every MP 103 million. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm simply saying it's about priorities. If you know this is important, you will find the money. Have you noticed? We have right now a request for supplementary budget to fund State House for 92 billion.
It's not a bad thing.
And I'm just simply saying, if it is a priority, the money will be found. And I think that is what people need to understand.
They can buy tomatoes.
Absolutely. Now, it needs to be understood that, yes, we actually appreciate USE and UPE. There's one caller who was saying we must have, I said publicly, you heard me say, UPE and USE are great policies.
Yes.
But, wait a moment, are they delivering the promise? The answer is no.
Madam Birungi, it's more than the teachers' pay. What else?
Yes.
Research facilities, good staff rooms, and so on. What else can they do, the government?
What the government can do, we have told you, one aspect which we are putting much emphasis on, maybe even to this colleague of ours to understand that we must appreciate. It's all about the children. We would like the children to have meals. The government,
children should have meals.
Yes,
and government to raise that certain 5,000 to 22,000. Where is the money going to come from?
The capitation grants
from 5 to 22,000.
I don't want to repeat what Bishop Zac has said. Once the governance structures, once government has made a decision that this is part of the priority they have, the funds will come, and all we are mobilizing for that education becomes part of the government priority, so that the allocations can be seen, because we trust they are there. We are also saying you cannot manage education alone, because education is very expensive.
Yes.
Why are you sending the parents out of their duties? Parents should be able to contribute and pay a fund towards their children's meals. In fact, it is cheaper for parents whom we think are poor, like Ugandans. It is cheaper to pool resources and pay 2,000 shillings for a cup of porridge for a month. It is cheaper than for giving a child 500 shillings to go and eat the pancakes that are even already which are dirty. Then we are also saying there has got also to be a lot of the community. We also let's not only look at government, we're also looking at the community.
Yes.
Because I want to tell you that the public schools we are talking about have owners.
Yes.
These owners had a mission, and this mission is still on. We don't want the foundation bodies to sit back when actually the schools they started with that mission are becoming we don't usually want to call it, but they are becoming a dirty trap.
Strong language.
Yes, this is where we are sending children. They are also becoming part of the process which is endorsing that, yes, let's destroy this country through their schools. We want them also to come up, mobilize the communities, mobilize the Christians who belong to these sections, the Muslims, it is the Catholics, the Anglican, the Muslims, faith-based groups who have over 60% of the public schools in this country. We want them to be involved. The parents, my dear, who called here, who is saying we must be considerate. Yes, we are considerate. We want him or her also to play a role, so that we don't leave everything to government, because he's conscious that government doesn't have the money. He's asking where government will get the money. But even the management of education, we don't know whether there is proper supervision of education.
Right.
That's why you are hearing things like
soldiers. You complained. Soldiers supervised.
Yeah, we are talking about ghosts. We are talking about ghost schools, ghost children, ghost teachers. This is an indication that there is no process of supervising the school system.
Thank you very much, dear guests tonight. Dr. Zac Niringiye, Assistant Bishop of Kampala, also Chairman of the African Peer Review Governing Council. Thank you very much for coming to Spectrum, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us.
Mrs. Teopista, Birungi, General Secretary of UNATU, that's the Uganda National Teachers Union. Thank you for coming to Spectrum, madam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next, though, is the news in English. Do stay tuned.